Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to fillet a northern, and to get the northern fillets where you have the most amount of meat in my mind and the fewest bones possible. This is sort of a family traditional way of cleaning a northern. It started all the way back with my great grandmother who used to clean all the fish for the family. I don't know if this is necessarily the fastest way, but in my mind it works. We get a lot of meat off of our fillets, and for the most part they're pretty much bone free, though I will not guarantee it's 100%, because that all depends on how your fillets turn out. But stick with me, let me know what you think.
Alright, so rule number one, have a very sharp knife. This is key for getting a good cut and clean cuts on your fish fillets. I've cleaned a few fish already, so this knife isn't super sharp anymore, but it should be good enough to take care of this last fish. When you're ice fishing, rule number one is keep your fish out of the snow. But if you can't keep the fish out of the snow, a trick that my grandpa taught me from way back in the day when I was a little kid is if you wrap your fish in newspaper, and as much newspaper as you want to use, that will actually pull the slime off of your fish when you go to unwrap it and clean it. A lot of people don't like to clean northerns because they think that they're slimy and they stink and they're just such a pain in the butt. Well, they do take a while to clean. If you use newspaper, it's going to save you a ton of headache and trouble. Should make your job a lot easier. So we've got a little hammer handle here. I wrapped it in newspaper, kind of, sort of. Probably could have used a little more newspaper with this one, but you know, as I peel it away, you can see it kind of sticks to it. But this fish, for the most part, will have no slime left on it once I'm done getting all this newspaper off. And you can even take it and just kind of wipe it down if you got a little bit on it yet. But man, that's way cleaner than if I would have just pulled this out of the snowbank to try and fillet it. Another helpful tip for cleaning northerns and any fish in my mind is you don't let the meat freeze. If you can keep it from freezing all the way through solid, it's going to be a lot easier to clean that way. So this one's pretty fresh. We just got back from ice fishing a little bit ago, so nice little mark there. No idea what that's from, probably a giant muskie. Okay. So my first step is you cut all the way around. Try not to cut all the way through into the guts and stuff. You just want to cut through the meat. If you nick the guts, whatever, no big deal. You're going to wash it when you're done. Then I get the back facing towards me, and I'm going to take my knife tip and I'm going to go in just above the spine all the way down through the back, as close to the spine as I can. And I keep my fingers in here to kind of hold the fish in place and go just above the spine. We're just going to kind of saw right down. When I get about halfway down this back fin, I'll shove the knife all the way through, and I'll finish just kind of cleaning it right off the bone, just kind of drag it right along that spine, backbone all the way out. Okay, peel this back. And I'm only going to go down this side just to, basically to where the rib starts to bump out, the ribs do. Alright, and then that's as far as I'm going to go for now, because for me it's easier if I leave this fillet intact, flip it over and do the other side. Okay, while that's still on there, it keeps the fish its normal shape, the spine is nice and straight, and I'll be able to get my cut a little better here. So I'm just going on the top side of the spine again. If you get it good, you don't even have to cut through scales the second time. I'm going to go kind of along that thing, get about halfway, push it through, just kind of drag it out. There you go. You see you got your backbone left, you got all your meat. Okay, make sure I get that. All right, then just kind of hold the meat up. Lost a little bit there. Basically, I'm just trying to flex the knife blade along the backbone till I hear clicking of the knife. It doesn't really go any deeper, and just kind of work it out. Go both ways. Sometimes it's easier to finish up against the grain, getting up into here. Okay, but then once I get that far, kind of go with the grain from the front to the back. Just kind of keep taking it down, all the way down to the bottom of those rib bones. Oh, he pooped all over. Okay, that fillet is completely detached. I'm not going to chop it off because, again, I like to leave this on the body. It keeps everything a little bit more flat for taking this first side off, which I had only gone down to the backbone. So now I can finish this side. Trying to go with the grain as much as possible again, from the front to the tail. Alright, once you get that all done, you can just kind of cut off the butthole there. Not much left on that. Alright, now we got all the meat. So then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split it into two pieces. Just kind of right down that line with the knife. One good stroke when your knife is sharp. Multiple strokes when your knife is starting to get dull. Flip it on its back. I'm going to take this last fin off. Okay, I'm going to flip the fillet back over. I'm going to take my knife blade and just kind of clean the meat off. Now for these back bones, the Y bones I guess, they run from somewhere up here in the tail all the way down. You can see the little tips at the tip of my knife. Those are the Y bones. Okay, they go all the way up here. What they do is this part of it goes down and up towards the back. And then the Y part comes back towards lateral line or whatever that's called. Alright, so my first cut's going to be on the top side, up on top of the back of the fish, just off of those bones a little ways so you don't lose any of them. Going to kind of follow it down, and as I'm dragging my knife tip, I can feel it clicking over each one of those. And you don't want to push too hard because you'll cut right through them. Okay, but then I can put my fingers in there and I can see I'm down to those tips of those bones. Then you're going to kind of put your knife in and turn it flat, just kind of nice and easy, cut up towards the back, kind of flat, running up along those bones. See, I got too close there, but you can always take more. Okay, and then that's cut all the way up, probably a little more there. Okay, that's pretty much done. The next cut's going to be right along that lateral line. I'm kind of cutting a little bit of an angle up towards the top of the back. A lot of people go right down to the skin, and that's fine. You don't have to go that far deep. I'm going to go about halfway down into this meat in here, starting from up here and going forward, and I'm going to just kind of cut back and end up running the knife blade right underneath these bones. Just like that. Now if you go too shallow, you're going to cut off the back of that Y. If you go too deep, you'll just take a little extra meat. It's no big deal. So probably better to go too deep and kind of get the feel for it as you go than go too shallow and leave bone in there. Once you pull that strip of Y bones out, you have nothing but a beautiful fillet left. Now some people say that there's still some bones in the tail, and I have found another section of Y bone in there.
but I can't quite figure out how it lays. And to me, if you cook the fish long enough, it softens up to where you can just eat them like the rest of the meat, digest it just fine. Some people chop off that tail section, some people get rid of the belly fat, but we'll just keep the entire fillet and cook it up just like that. And for the most part, we rarely find bone.
So that's it. This one's ready to skin. Start back here, hold down on the tail, go up a little ways, reach up underneath, grab it, pull it tight. You're trying to keep the fillet flat on the board, the paper, the cardboard, whatever you're using. Trying to pull back with your fingernails, with your fingers, and just kind of work that knife up the fillet. Okay, all the way up and out. There you have it. Beautiful, meaty fillet. Now, one more bone. If you do a good enough job, my grandpa would always say, if you're good enough, you're going to have one bone left over when you're done. And I don't think I did a good enough job, but oftentimes, right up in here, just under the skin of the fish, just in the meat, there's usually a bone right here, which you would cut out one single bone. I did a poor job of this fillet, so I don't have it. But that's a lot of meat, and it's good. It's actually my wife's favorite fish, so we do keep these quite often. All right, side number 2. Now the back is facing me, tail is still over here, so I'm going to do everything but in opposite. Okay, we're going to start up here. Here's your line of bones. You can see quite clearly. The bigger the fish are, the easier they are to fillet, really, but you can fillet them all the way down to tiny little things if you really want to. You just don't get as much meat off them. I start up here and I go just a little ways away from those, cutting, feeling my knife tip click all the way out. I separate it with my fingers so I can kind of see what I'm doing. I turn the knife flat and I cut towards the back, which is towards me this time because the back of the fish is the opposite side and it's now laying towards me. Okay, next cut down the lateral line, letting it go down about halfway, turn the knife flat again, and you're just cutting to get back right up underneath. You can even see sometimes the knife as it's right underneath those bones. Again, if you go deeper, that's fine. Better to get rid of the bones and have them in there and have somebody choke on them for some reason. But man, that comes out of there nice and easy when it's all done. It just, usually you can just pull on it and it'll basically pull out as far into the fish as those bones go. And then by the time you're done, you have a very nice, clean fillet. Once again, fingers down, pull back on the tail, start in 1/2 inch, 3/4, whatever. Just work it up. My bone is right in there. Get rid of that. Voila. That is all meat. One good fish is enough to feed, my wife and I for sure. All you need is a couple fish like that, and you got yourself a meal for a family. So it doesn't take a lot. They got a lot of meat on them. They're good eating. They're not slimy anymore. I'll take them inside now. I'm gonna rinse them up, cold water, just to kind of get the rest of the blood and any scales and slime off of them. And then we like to wrap each fillet individually in saran wrap and completely sealing it off and put it in a freezer bag and throw it in the freezer. That's how you do it. Hope this helps. We'll see you on the next one.